Good morning. It is the Lord's Day, and I'm Dietrich Wallace, and I thank you for joining me for this lesson this morning. Yesterday I get in the car and I push the button to start it. It's not like the old cars. You have to put the key in and turn, but there's still some of those around. But most vehicles today, you have a push to start button. And I got to thinking about something. It just kind of hit me. That's what faith is. You've got to you've got to push that button of faith to start the engine. That to me really jumped in my head yesterday, and I was just doing a lot of thinking about it. And woke up this morning, I was thinking about it some more. How often we don't push the button. We wonder why God's not moving. Well, we didn't make a move. We need to push the button of faith. We're going to see just how important it is to push that button here in a second when we jump into the word this morning. We're going to be starting in Hebrews chapter 1 and go through about verse 6. But we can believe and trust and have faith. We can have faith in the chair that we're sitting in. Just like I'm sitting in a chair right now. We can have faith that chair is going to support our weight. We can have faith that whatever steps we take, or whatever step, the staircases we go up, we have faith that they're going to, number one, lead us where we want to go, and number two, that they're going to be able to support our weight even if we don't see the end of the staircase. And a lot of times that's what people describe faith as, is taking the first step even though you don't see the end of the staircase. How important is that? Well, let's just think about this. If we read about all the miracles that Jesus did, thy faith has made thee whole. Thy faith. That's how important having faith is. Because you can't please him without it. You cannot please God without having faith in him. We're going to see that in verse 6. But let's go ahead and start at verse 1 of chapter 11 of Hebrews. And it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, for by it the elders obtained a good report. Let's stop right here. Now it says that faith is the substance of things hoped for. We don't see it. We don't see what we have hoped for. Because if we see it, there's no need to hope for it, because there it is. We see it with our physical eyes. But the thing is, how many times we don't see that chair, for example, has the ability. We see the chair sitting there. We see the chair. We know that the chair is supposed to support our weight. And we just plop down on it. That's the thing. How easy is it to get caught up in, well, if I don't see it, then I don't believe it. That's what faith is. You have to see it up here before you see it here with your eyes. We hope that the sun's going to come up in the morning. Well, I know it came up this morning. But when I went to bed last night, I didn't know for sure that the sun was going to come up this morning. I had faith that God was going to let the sun come up. But what I did know, if the sun didn't come up this morning, it was going to be all right anyway. And that's the mindset that we have to have. Even if what I'm hoping for doesn't happen, I'm going to be all right anyway, because God's got a better plan. He's going to lead me. He's going to guide me where I need to be. And wherever I'm going, God is already there. Let's go a little further. Now, of course, it says in verse 2, for by the elders obtained a good report. How many times have we heard our grandparents, our parents, remind us of times and stories and tell us stories of how God brought them over when they were faced against all odds, but God brought them over. That's why it's so important to make known the good works of the God that we serve. That's why it's so vitally important to tell our children, hey, I didn't know what I was going to do in this situation, but I got on my knees and I prayed to God and he brought us through. Giving them stories of how God showed up at the last minute when man would have said the door's closed, you're down, you can't get up, but somehow some way at the last minute, God made a way out of no way. That's why I get so happy when I think about faith, because I have been there, done that. Got the t-shirt, didn't know where I was going to get what I needed to get. When the bills were long and the money was short, I can assure you, God can solve that problem for you. But you've got to do your part. You have got to believe. You've got to believe that he is going to come through. He is going to come through. Because you got to remember, he's the one that has cattle on 1,000 hills. He's got all the resources, but you got to believe. And you got to ask. You've got to ask him. You can't just, he may know what we need before we ask, but you got to ask too. But you got to ask in faith, nothing wavering. You can't waver. Can't do that because that's doubt. And you're going to be tossed and back and forth, up and down like a wave does in the sea. You've got to stay steadfast. Hold on to your faith. But let's go a little further. It says, through faith, we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that the things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. By faith, Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gifts, and by it being dead, yet speaketh. Let's talk about that for a minute. This sacrifice that Abel made, he gave him of his first fruits. He gave him what he deserved by faith. And who did he give it to? He gave it to God by faith, which he rightfully deserved. You know, the service that we give should all come from our love of God and the faith we have in him. Whether that be a good deed, whether that be a good word, whether that be just simply a good listening ear. Do it all out of love and of faith. And I promise you, it's going to be all right in the end. I promise you. Let's go a little further. By faith, Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found because God had translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony, that he pleased God. But, this is what I was trying to get to. Verse 6, but without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Well, here we have, just in one verse, in verse 6, we have, you got to believe that he is. You got to believe that he's able to do what he said he would do. But if you remember back earlier in this chapter, it said, we believe by faith that God formed the world by his word. And here we have his word right here. You've got to believe it. And then he's a rewarder of those that diligently seek him. Are you seeking God this morning? Have you sought God this week? Have you sought to please him? Have you sought to learn more about him? Have you sought out opportunities to tell somebody else about him? This is what we're talking about here. If you're going to please him, you got to seek him. There's no possible way to do it any other way. Why do I say that? That's his word. You got to please him by seeking him and seek him diligently. Well, let's think about, what does that word mean? You've got to be relentless. You've got to get in there earnestly and dig in his word and then apply it in the same manner in our lives. We have to get in here, each of us individually, and seek his word. Seek what the mind of the Lord is, to find out what his will is for our lives. If we don't get in there, how are we going to know? There's no way possible. Sure, somebody can tell us, but you're never going to know for yourself until you get in here. But it's faith that causes you to get in here. You believe that the word, what he said, is true. That's why you get in here and you study. You study to show yourself an approved workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. That's 1 Timothy 2:15. That's something that we have to do. That's 2 Timothy 2:15, my bad. The thing is, you have to get in here and study. Study hard. But you do it because of your faith. And because of that only strengthens your faith. How can I say that? Faith cometh by hearing. And how does hearing come? By the word of God. Romans 10. It's just that simple. So this week going forward, if you're going to seek to please God, you got to believe that he is. Believe in him. Trust him. Have faith. But how do you do it? Get right here. Get right here in the word and go forward. I'll talk to y'all later. I thank you for joining me this morning. And I'll see y'all on Tune Up Tuesday, if good Lord willing and the creek don't rise. Like, share. Talk to y'all later.